Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, and freaks of nature of all ages. My name is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson, and welcome back to Let's Build. This is the third episode in building a multiplayer map. We're going to be building one that is deathmatch / team deathmatch, so we have free-for-all, every man for himself, or team deathmatch. And in the last episode, we took the model that we got from the Google Warehouse into Google SketchUp. We have converted that from a SketchUp model to a DAE because we're not using the Pro version of SketchUp, so DAE is the 3D model that we can use. We took that DAE into Blender, we converted it to an FBX, and in the last episode we imported that FBX model as a singular static mesh into UDK. We created the colliders and we sized it properly so that we have a good playable map. So in this episode, we're going to go ahead and get into our game and animation folder. We're going to go into SketchUp. We're going to go into DAE. And when we exported this DAE from SketchUp, it also exported our textures. Now, we do have to redo all of these textures. Now, there's some we're not going to need. For instance, we're not going to need the lamp texture because I think I got rid of all the lamps that were on the walls. We're not going to need the metal box textures because we're going to make all of our boxes one of the crate textures. We're not going to need the lamp black texture, and even if we did, there is no sense bringing in two black textures that are exactly the same. All we have to do is bring in one and use that for both textures. So we really don't want to be doubling up on our textures and bringing in stuff that we don't need. But in the first episode, I explained to you that UDK prefers power of 2 textures. So I'm going to use these 3 barrel textures to show you what a power of 2 texture is. I know that these, once converted to power of 2, will come in good because I've done this. I know that this line, if I don't convert it to a power of 2, will still come in and come in as usable. We're simply going to get a power of 2 warning. And I also know that the door texture, if left unconverted, will not come in at all. It will do an import failed. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert these 3 barrel textures to power of 2, and then we're going to pop open UDK, bring these in, bring in the line, and bring in the doors unconverted, so that you can see the difference between those, and you'll understand what's going on if you get an import failed or you get a power of 2 warning for some reason. So let's go ahead and drag these 3 over, and it's going to open up 3 different images. Now, this is our first one. Now what we're going to be needing to do is convert these to a TGA, because TGA will maintain transparencies if we're using transparencies, but it's a little bit of a smaller file size than a PNG, which UDK will utilize PNG as well, but there's less chance of having issues with layers if we have layers using a TGA than there is with a PNG. I like them both, but the TGA is a little bit smaller of a file size, and UDK loves TGA, so that's the file that we're going to use. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Image, we're going to go down to Scale Image, and we're going to see that our image scale is 256 by 252. 256 is a power of 2 size. 252 is not, so we're simply going to change that to 256 by 256. And that's going to change our image so that the whole thing, width and height, is a power of 2. And once again, a power of 2 is a number that if divided by 2, you can continuously divide the result by 2 until you reach the number 2. So it's a power of 2 texture. That's what UDK likes. So now that we have that converted to a power of 2, we're going to hit File, we're going to hit Export As, and then we're going to change the suffix from JPG to TGA, and then we're going to export that as a TGA file. Alright, the next step in this parade is we're going to go to Filters, we're going to go to Map, and we're going to go to Normal Map, and we're going to create our normal map. Now, normal map filter does not come with GIMP when you download GIMP, but It is available for free in the GIMP repository. So all you have to do is go to the GIMP repository and search normal map. You will find this plugin. You can download it for free and install it right from there. Now we don't really need to do anything special to this. We're just going to use a basic 4 sample because we don't want, for instance, if we changed it to a 3x3 Sobel, see the difference and how much harsh that normal map is. If we change it to a 5x5, it's even worse. So we're just going to leave it at the default 4 sample just like that and click OK. There is our normal map to add a little bit of extra depth, but it is not too harsh. We're going to go to File, we're going to go to Export As, and it's going to automatically bring up the last thing we had, and then we're just going to type in underscore capital N for norm. And we can actually just go ahead and copy that underscore N, Control C, so the next time we make a normal map, all we have to do is hit Control V and we'll have that underscore N, and it'll just save a little bit of time in typing, especially if you type out the whole world normal or something like that. So we hit Export and Export, and that's all we need on that one, so we can get rid of that. Now we're going to do the other barrel end, image, scale image, change both to a 256 so that we have power of 2 in both directions. File, Export As, TGA, Export, Filters, and now we don't have to go back down into Map and select Normal Map. We can go right to the top there and repeat Normal Map. Just like that. File, Export As, and then Control V. There's our underscore N, and we have our normal map TGA. And that one's done. We don't need it anymore. Now we've got the barrel, and I'm going to show you something cool. It doesn't have to maintain the same dimensions that we have right here. So when we go to Image and Scale Image, we've got a 442 by a 256. Let's just change that 442 to a 256. There we go. Oh, I had cancel, Control Z. I had, for some reason, so image, scale image, let's undo maintain aspect ratio. And then I probably need to check my other two to make sure those work right, because it might have changed the aspect ratio. So we're going to take that 256. I didn't need those to be uniform, and scale, and there we go, just like that. File, Export As, TGA, enter, enter, filters, repeat normal map, file, Export As, Control V, enter, enter, and that's done. So let's go ahead and double check that barrel and that barrel to make sure we actually do have power of 2 textures here, because I think I might have goofed it up. Scale image, yeah, it kept the, so we're going to undo uniform scale and change that to a 256. Scale, file, and then we're just going to overwrite barrel TGA, and we're going to do that with the rest of these as well. Okay, and now that we got that done, we can go ahead and close GIMP down, and we've got our barrels and our barrel side. We're going to bring in the door just the way it is, and we're going to bring in the line just the way it is, so that you can see what kind of warnings you're looking at and what happens when you bring in something that's just so freaking off size that UDK won't even import it. So we're going to go ahead and open UDK, and since it takes a little bit of time, we're once again going to pause the recording while this is loading. Okay, now we got UDK open, so we're going to drop this little bad boy down, and we are going to grab Indust 1. Okay, so what we're going to do is just leave Indust selected, and we are going to click on Import. import, there we go. And we're going to grab, we're not going to grab the normal map textures. We're going to bring the normal map textures in separately. And I should have converted the doors and the line to an image or a TGA. I forgot to do that. We'll do that next time. So we're going to go ahead and grab a JPEG barrel at the wrong size, and then barrel 3, barrel 4, and I'm going to show you that a JPEG will come in as a streamed air asset, and I don't like those, and then we just won't even worry about it. We'll just show you what kind of warning you're going to get. So we're going to click open, and we're going to make our grouping textures. That's not going to work right. Okay, and that's because it was the one that was going to come in as a streamed air asset. If it tries to come in as a streamed air asset, it will not give you your texture options. That's why I don't like working with it. So once again, textures, and then we're just going to click OK one at a time on those textures, and boom baby, there's our texture file and our 3 TGA images. Okay, so we're going to right click, save that. Now we're going to grab our textures and click import, and then we're going to grab our 3 normal maps and open. And the reason we brought them in individually is because we need to change the compression settings for normal map. So instead of doing OK, change from default to normal map, OK, change back to default, OK, change back to normal map, or taking the risking not having them the compression settings right, we're going to bring in our diffuse textures and our normal map textures separately. So OK there, and OK there. All right, now we're going to click on that and hit save. Now we're going to grab our materials, and we're going to grab these 3 barrel materials, right click, edit using the material editor. Now it brought them in as a solid color, which is a color parameter, but we don't need that. So this is barrel 4. We're going to go back into textures. Barrel 4 is right there. We are going to select that, right click, delete selected item. Then we're going to click in there, hold the T as in texture, and then left click, and it will bring that texture in. And we're going to run the diffuse into the diffuse. Now we're going to select the normal map for that texture, go back in there, T for texture, left click, and run the normal map into the normal channel, and that's going to give it a little bit more depth. The next thing we're going to do is we can add a physical material to that. So that would be in UT3, environments, physical materials. We will fully load physical materials, and we're going to select metal because this is a metal drum. And then where it says, just click in there to make sure that neither one of these are selected, and where it says physical material, we're going to click the little green arrow, and it's going to give the metal physical material, so that if we jump up on top of our barrels, they will make a metal sound instead of a default sand sound. So let's go ahead and put the physical material on this one as well, and the physical material on this one. And now that we've got those physical materials brought in, we can drop that down and then get back into our textures. And this one is barrel 1, so that's the texture we need. Drag that over, and you hold control when you drag it. If you don't hold control, you're going to move the whole window. Right click, delete, hold T, left click, there's our texture, into the diffuse. T, left click, there's our normal map, and we already have our physical material, so we're going to save. We're going to close that down, and then we're going to do the same thing with this barrel. and save. And now if we look into our materials and go up to our barrels, we have our 3 barrel textures. So we're going to click that and we are going to save. Alright, there we go. And that is the basics of bringing them in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get into GIMP, and I'm going to convert the rest of the textures that we're going to need. And when we come back in the next episode, we will import the rest of our textures, make the rest of our materials, but I still want to be able to show you what's going to happen if you bring in one that's not a power of 2 and one that's so off size that it won't even come in at all. And you already know what's going to happen when you try to bring in a JPEG. It's not even going to give you any texturing options. So we've got that warning out of the way. And we'll do the other 2 warnings the next time just so you can see. That's saved. Let's go ahead and save current level just so we know we got it. And please do not forget to check the links in the description below for the Disabled American Veterans and the Wounded Warriors Project. Let's please help support our veterans. If you liked the video, then hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends and family to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Please don't forget to leave a comment. They are always welcome, good, bad, or somewhere in between. Thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate your support, your encouragement, your time. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And until next time, this is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson saying peace, love, clean underwear, and happy gaming.